Good day, Internet! I hope you are all wholesome today, because that's about gonna end right now on Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9001. Now, as of course, it is a Tuesday, which means, as it is a Tuesday, we are gonna go back to some of those old fics that we had previously covered that made us just go, wow! Let's read more of that.
Please don't.
So, today's first fic is going to be a reminder from Twitch and YouTube that you can't talk to people. Because if you do, that is harassment. And you'll probably get banned for it and your content taken down. Thank you from the YouTube Public Safety Committee.
Don't you mean Twitch Public Safety Committee?
No, YouTube's been getting really excessive with it recently.
Of course.
Yeah, Philip DeFranco. Pull me in, I'll pull
Yeah,
you in.
I got him.
Okay.
Buzz.
Me saying that is considered harassment. Yes, exactly, Sean. And let me just add the joined by Cruel title card to the line. Cruel outsourcing activated. Alright.
Yay. It's always a good time when Cruel comes on, and then I can listen to him tell me to watch Reconquista again.
Oh, he'll probably he'll do that probably at least once. So today's first story is going to be Chapter 2 of Thus I Kindly Scatter. Which, as a reminder to everyone, I have no idea what this story is, as I must have been hilariously drunk that night.
I must not have been here when this happened.
Oh, it's this story! Female Harry Potter sent to Rubyverse adopts the name of Summer Rose and then gets summoned back to Harry Potterverse after having Ruby, just before she was about to die, to the Goblet of Fire tournament.
Oh, I keep forgetting how bad things get here.
I like that. Our first story we just went from 1 to 100 in record time, I think.
Stop. Someone thought this was a good... No, actually, 791 people thought this was a very good idea.
Yeah, no. Very good idea is the 584. 791 people said, I want to see where this goes. You intrigue me.
I mean, honestly,
hang on.
if somebody came up with something that otherworldly...
To be fair, with a summary like that, I would be intrigued as well. But since I wasn't here for Chapter 1,
I mean,
have
yes,
no idea what would
now
intrigue
I will fully admit, we're all still here, so we were intrigued. However, the slight difference between the opinions here of us being intrigued and these people who are actually following it being intrigued, the slight difference there is going to be, they want to read more. We're reading more because, well, we want to laugh at it.
I mean, I'm just kind of here for the ride.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Like, I wasn't here for the first time this was read on stream, because I think I would remember or premise this.
So, as to recap, basically everything that happened in the summary is the first chapter. Harriet Potter gets random omnipotent being into the Rubyverse for no given reason. And she gets picked up by an orphanage in Atlas, takes on the name Summer Rose. Basically canonical Ruby from there on out. She awakens her semblance, which is rose petals. And
okay.
Magic really apparently doesn't exist, even though she has it. It's aura this time, though. Yeah. The author's trying to roll this whole aura equals magic sort of thing, and it's kind of like, but there is already magic in the Rubyverse. In fact, this is actually something I had broken down for someone a little bit a couple days ago, because they were trying to be like, oh, Harry Potter magic equals soul, which equals aura, and I was like, no, actually, no. Harry Potter magic equals soul magic. We don't really know beyond the fact that people who have magic can leave behind ghost imprints of themselves.
That and the fact that for some reason snipers and other tactical ops units don't exist in this world.
Yeah.
Well, that's Ruby. We're talking about Harry Potter right now.
yeah,
Oh,
quick
that's the same
aside.
thing in both. So.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we don't know that magic equals soul. All we know is magic equals after death, maybe ghost. That's not a confirmation of soul. Now we do kind of get the confirmation of soul from the whole death scene we have in book 7. But that felt like more like a cop-out from J.K. Rowling, but I guess it's canon. But, whatever. So,
Meanwhile, people continue to make Doom run on everything.
I
Apparently,
mean,
yes.
it runs on ATM machines at this point.
I'm just impressed that someone was like, "I bet I can make Doom run in Fallout 4."
and then,
I mean-
again, there is no confirmation that soul is equal to aura. What's the confirmation we have in Ruby that soul equals aura? Them saying it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna take their word for it, because there's been, no showing of soul equals aura.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic.
No,
or
no,
serious.
I'm being honest. It's literally an energy the body outputs. For all we know, they're just some sort of random radiation-induced mutation of humanity. There is no proof.
The only thing we do kind of sort of know is that, not aura at least, dust apparently doesn't work outside the atmosphere, which explains why space exploration hasn't been done yet.
Oh, okay, so there we go.
How do we know that?
Apparently it was at some point
Beyond Remnant?
offhanded by one of the writers.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, if it's one of those word of God things, it's part of where we got the whole soul is aura thing, and
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, like Monty,
also
I'm pretty sure Monty had most of the say initially with no, soul is aura. It's a physical manifestation of your soul. Of course, we don't know if he meant that literally or figuratively.
Okay, but
since-
see, the problem I have that with the whole it's a physical manifestation of your soul shit is there's nothing in the distinct canon that backs up that word of God. It's sort of like J.K. Rowling's word of God. Oh, Dumbledore was definitely gay. I just didn't put it anywhere in canon.
Let's put it this way, Sneaky. We don't even know if aura and semblances are linked.
No, that's right. We don't.
We don't know,
But we do know semblances use aura to function, but
But we do know that technology has come to a point where people can literally transfer souls from person to person, i.e., that soul.
we can
ripping
transfer energy from person to person.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know if it transfers the person's aura as well.
See,
or-
that's why I'm heavily I really don't think it's souls, because it's a lot easier for me personally to believe they just invented a machine that can force energy into things. Then yes,
Okay.
we've injected a soul
I just want you to
into a
understand,
machine.
Sneaky. I'm going to give you shit every time you give someone else shit for saying established canon is not canon.
No.
I just want you to
We
expect
have
that from
word of God
I
proof.
want you-
That is all we have. You can
I
call me
want
on
you to
shit. You can
expect
call
that
me
from
on
me.
shit. When it's
Sneaky
word of God.
is still canon, especially since it's been explained
Wild
in
Bow.
the show.
J.K. Rowling.
It's explained in the show.
We might call it cop out, but in the end, it's still established because the
That's
writer
fine.
said
It's still
it.
established. It's a cop out. That's fine. But I'm gonna give Sneaky so much shit in the future if he does this. If he
No.
calls someone out for the same thing.
I will always rag on people for this.
I mean, yes, you're very well. I rag on people for this, but it's still there. It's like Wait, I was about to say something halfway racist, so I would rather not say that.
But no, my point being is that I am fine with people doing this in a non-crossover scenario, but specifically this person was like, magic equals soul in Harry Potterverse, so soul equals aura in Rubyverse, so Harry has a semblance.
I mean, technically speaking, we're doing something similar with our story, aren't we?
No.
But
You guys are treating
No,
Aura and Chakra as
yeah.
completely separate systems, which is what they should be.
Yeah, we made Naruto's thing a bit different because it's a mixture of.
Well, no, what you guys did in your crossover, from what I've gathered, what you did was Naruto doesn't get aura. He
Yeah, he
gets
does.
chakra, and he uses the chakra to make it seem like he has aura.
Not exactly. He still takes full damage. That's his thing.
No, I know, but you use it to make it seem like it.
We made it so basically that Sneaky can explain it better. You had the whole theory about the chakra being physical and like from the soul.
Chakra canonically is the combination of the physical body's energies and the mind energies. And
spirit and body, essentially,
right?
like
And
the old yin and
basically,
yang.
aura is pretty much a physical manifestation of your soul, which is mind. So it's just the end, which makes sense for like shit like semblances because it's based off of you specifically. Also, somehow hereditary. Looking at you, Schneeze. I'm gonna stab you with my Schneeze.
Yeah, and even that. I love how like every semblance is unique, and it's like, oh, you guys were being literal and like
is unique, except for this one.
Well, no, Sneaky. That's the thing, though. Like, there's still small differences in the way that they use the semblance. Like, okay, you guys are literally you're doing my thing that pisses people off. Of like, semantically speaking, yes, these are unique, but they're so similar, it's laughable.
Yeah, but like that sort of also then goes into the whole point of it being like an expression of the person instead of like hereditary, because they all sort of had the same lifestyle. So they all have like the same semblance, except it's a little bit different because they each had different experiences in that lifestyle. When did aura start to mean it was soul, originate from the soul? Because that's not the case. Aura is different from the soul. Word of God, it's what we've been arguing for a while now. I said aura is not soul. They're saying aura is soul. So you can fight with them from now on about it. But anyway, so my point being, you can't just cross over like you can't just be like, because X is X in this universe, therefore they have this, and it's like,
yeah, this is not a case of A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C.
Yeah.
This is A equals B in this universe, A equals B in A equals B in this universe, but A does not equal B between the universes.
Basically, yeah. And
that is a surprisingly good way to explain it.
And the other thing, though, is I brought in for my argument here is that there is 5 things canonically in Ruby that we know for certain persist after death, like a soul.
Sean, why are you bringing up Bible standpoints for this?
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Sean, why? Sean, no. We appreciate your enthusiasm.
Are we on the same wavelength, boy? Like, what is this? Are we? But like, here's the thing.
You want to guess what those 5 things are?
I'm always listen. Here's the thing, Sneaky. I'm always up for unique interpretations of shit, but to the point of like, it's World of Remnant and Pura in canon talks about aura is the physical manifestation of your soul. So I'll even accept like it's not literally your soul; it expresses who you are as a person.
Okay,
that's
but see,
fine.
the thing there is though is that there is colloquially interpretations of soul, and then there's like soul, like thing that persists after death and is a representation, accumulation of your being.
Yeah, and even then people still get into theological arguments about how that works, whether it's
but we only have proof of 5 of those existing. Ozpin and the Four Maidens. All of it is magic.
Which always kind of bothered me, cause
Hey, you're the one that's like, word of God! Word of God!
no, Sneaky, word of God in canon, I'm fine with that. It's word of God like how Wildbow doesn't say anything about it in canon and then just says, oh, this character acts like this. That's when it bothers me. But we were told at the start, magic would not be a part of the show. Four maidens show up. Okay, I
Except
trust
for that, like,
Monty.
the
I trust
problem there,
Monty.
though.
I trust Monty to be serious about how magic's not in the show. Then we lose Monty, and we're slowly moving closer towards magic.
Except the problem was that the concept of the maidens and the whole hereditary magical powers being transferred was stuff that Monty either approved or came up with. Because Monty did not write a majority, like he wrote what he wanted to see, but the bulk writing was actually Miles and Carey the whole time, with Monty just okaying it.
I'm aware of that, but like he still had things that he
when you allow animators to do writing.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Like,
and for anybody who
but
has
the other problem that undermines what Monty said with the whole there's no magic in this is that he also fully admitted that Aura was more or less just a way for him to extend his fight scenes.
I still have not tracked that down, but honestly, I've never tried to track it down because it's like, yeah, that sounds like Monty.
So failure.
Go back to reading crappy fanfic. I will once I finish this story.
You know what? We are talking about crappy fan fiction. Ruby's just a fucked up version of the Grimm brothers.
It kind of really is, honestly.
Okay,
It draws from a lot of sources.
This with someone in class today. Lovely.
I'm sorry, what'd you say that again,
I had a
Cruel?
conversation about this with someone in class today. It was lovely.
About Ruby being fan fiction of Brothers
Oh,
Grimm?
and I'm talking about like the most leftist person of all time type of person. So yeah.
Okay, and
I don't know what their political leaning has to do with this
Oh, trust me,
conversation.
like, it's they literally blame the fact that it's not a male-centered story as something why people don't like it. It's not even a joke. It's not even.
It's not a male-centered story, so people don't like it. Looks at Lara Croft. Looks at Metroid. I could go on.
I could point out any number of magical girl animes, shonen animes with female protagonists who kick ass, a number of like quote unquote
Familiar Zero. Word.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I don't understand people who I don't understand people who are just like it follows blank gender, therefore people hate it. Like no, it's not how that works.
I'm just talking about this legitimate reasoning that this impeccable adult with impeccable.
Sean, Dead or Alive is the worst example you could have picked.
Also, I would like to point out another fact of evidence before we do start to move on. Losing all of your aura does not mean you die.
Yes, I'm aware. Like I just discussed the whole manifestation versus literal.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, that's just another point of
that. And one thing I've noticed about the aura crashes, aside from that, well, I think that's what the fandom calls it. I don't know if that's official terminology or anything, but the few times we've seen it, half the time it seems to knock the person out, and the other half they seem just fine. And I don't understand the difference between the two. That's one of those inconsistencies.
Personally, I think it sort of works like chakra. Basically, someone who trains a lot and is able to fight when they run low on chakra, kind of like Kakashi, where he was like, I'm pretty much out of chakra, but I'm going to be able to last through the rest of this fight and then I'll collapse, versus someone who basically relies on chakra to reinforce everything they do, and when they're out of chakra, they collapse.
Yeah, I think the only time we saw Kakashi do that too was like the Zabuza arc.
The only time he had character development? Yeah.
What? He's had plenty of character development. It's like, what the fuck are you smoking? Did you skip like half of Kakashi's stuff in the manga?
No, I was just making a
But,
joke because they tend to basically only have one little character development snippet, usually for characters in Naruto, and then it's like,
I mean,
back to whatever
that's-
Naruto's doing.
For any series that has as big of a
Yeah, I
main
know.
cast as Naruto, that's just a common problem, unfortunately.
I know, but they kept growing the cast, and then they simplified some of the characters, and they
And
made
then they
Naruto
decided
dumber.
And then they killed the wrong characters.
Yeah, basically.
Neji did not need to die.
Neji needed to die.
Fuck off.
Yuga lives matter.
Oof.
Almost every video game with a male character is nothing more than a beefcake that sets impossible standards for regular men.
No, people have.
James Vega!
Man. People are like, oh no, that's the ideal body type for male guys. You've made those up so that because you want to see yourself that way. I'm just like, what the fuck are you smoking?
I mean, they are partially not wrong, as I will be unlikely to play a game where if it does have a male lead, that male lead is, like, fatter than me. So, I mean, I'm not fat. I'm 230 at 6'1". That's not anywhere near like, oh man, watch out, wide load coming through. You know.
Thanks. Love you too, jackass.
That's 2 clubs.
But I don't even care what the character like for a character action game. As long as I get to punch it really hard, I do not.
Well, I
give a
mean,
shit
as
what the
long
lead
as it
is.
also makes sense, is you know, if the person's gonna be running around a lot as like
Yeah.
a normal thing, maybe they should be athletic. You know.
Well, but then you have characters like Bob from Tekken, and you look at it and you think about it's like, actually, yeah, it's completely possible for a man of that size to be this fucking sprightly because of all the training he does.
Well, I mean, you've seen Farm
He-
Boys.
Seen what?
Farm Boys.
Oh yeah, they come in. Farm Boys have like 5 variants, don't you know?
Yeah, I know. Gotta catch
Like,
them all.
Have you seen Bob from Tekken?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy,
like
man.
you look at that. It's like, how is that? Oh, actually, if he does a shit ton of strength training and then eats like 2,000 calories more than his body's burning a day,
Yeah.
he could be that fat and still hit.
Well, I mean,
really
you also
fucking
gotta keep
hard.
in mind that
No,
sort of
just very
street
true.
fighting isn't the same as like I'm running around a battlefield fighting. You know.
There's
Yeah.
a very marked difference.
Street fighting is definitely like, oh, you're gonna come at me and punch me, I'm gonna come at you and punch you. It's not like
Yeah.
we're gonna be like
It's-
trapezing around multiple battlefields as I chase you with my dagger,
I-
waiting for the assassination attempt button to pop up.
I don't think you've ever seen Bob in action in Tekken. Then
No, I know the character. No, I'm aware. I'm just saying he is
No.
not going to be doing parkour.
you've never seen Bob in action.
No, I don't
Like,
think
I'm
you
not trying-
understand physics. I would hope the engineering student
Sneaky.
understands physics.
Icky, I understand physics. Bob does not care. The man.
No,
flips
but
like
the
a fucking
ground
ballerina.
certainly fucking will when he lands on the roof. The flagpole certainly will when he tries to swing from it.
Oof.
Just because Bob can ignore physics with his bullshit doesn't mean that the roof tiles will be
So you
ignoring
realize
physics.
no fat man, and take this from like an actual fighter's perspective, can be that sprightly. But yes, they can hit like nobody's business.
I don't know. The large lads of farm boydom can certainly move pretty quick.
Actually,
They can
Bob.
move fast. And
No,
they can run
at
and skate
343
very fast.
pounds, Bob could still do reasonable parkour.
That's because he's Bob. He doesn't exist.
Anyway, so now that we've discussed a wide breadth of topics, let us get back to the shit
My
fic of the
fat
day.
OC can do stomach roll.
Hi, Ozzy. Kilm, I didn't know you were here.
Oh yeah, I was silent for the one.
Alright, so we're going to start off with some very insightful commentary written by the author to just, get this chapter going. Chapter 1. Albus Dumbledore was a man.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
That is news to me.
Yeah, it's a very insightful commentary. Granted, he was a wizard and wielded a great deal of magical and political power, but he was still a man.
And he was a man of his word.
He had made many mistakes over the course of his long life. He didn't always realize they were mistakes until much later, and sometimes he was only one to realize his mistakes. Albus Dumbledore was flawed, despite the fact that many thought he was always right. It was a heavy burden for Albus to bear, and it was one that, while he had wished for it in his youth, he now wished would go away. Sadly, he learned the hard way that wishing something wouldn't make it happen. It would when you're a wizard. And that some wishes were entirely out of one's control. Why is that comma there?
Because, purple prose needs to be...
Well, no, because the sentence actually works fine if the comma wasn't there. Because now the sentence reads, sadly, he learned the hard way that wishing something wouldn't make it happen. And that some wishes were entirely out of one's control.
And there's some wishes.
Like,
entirely out of
it's
one's
just
control.
like this. And technically speaking, whenever you put the double commas down, you should be able to delete whatever inside those double commas and have the sentence still make sense. And that's not how that's gonna work. So, anyway.
It's totally how that works. What are you going on about?
9. He was a woman. That explains the beard.
No, that explains the bread, apparently.
Oh, the bread.
The bread.
Yes, of course. I forgot. Because every woman's in the kitchen making bread.
Damn it, Sneaky!
Just tiptoeing near to that,
I'm sorry! It was too
He can't
easy!
stop himself. He actually cannot stop him.
No, he can't. He has horrible impulse control.
It's a
I should
medical
know.
condition!
I don't care. Stop it.
I may be
Just
drinking
stop.
to help
Ugh.
it.
No, drinking lowers your inhibition. What the fuck are you on about?
No, it'll clearly raise my inhibition.
It's not how that... That's not usually how it works, and that sure as hell is not how it works with you.
Anyway, as we were saying, Albus Dumbledore has bread.
Yes, of course.
That wasn't to say he hadn't earned the respect and admiration others afforded to him. He was a talented man, and he had done much to help the world. Unnecessary comma. But the public only saw the deeds. They didn't see the mistakes, which is very unusual, honestly, for a public.
I mean, Trump.
Usually people only see the mistakes. They didn't know the sacrifices he made. They didn't realize how many people he'd hurt with his decisions. They didn't know the guilt Albus Dumbledore carried.
Crawling in my crawl.
Basically. It wasn't as though
Can we make a version of that for Albus Dumbledore now? That's crawling in my beard.
Breading in my bread.
Sacrifice.
This bread, it will not break.
Okay, no, serious question. If this is gonna be a bit off topic, but serious question here.
Yeah.
Can you burn toast, or is the premise of toast just burned bread?
I mean, this is not what I signed up for. That you're making me think way too hard.
It's just burned bread. Let's be honest.
Sperm bread.
So, at what point does burned bread stop being toast and starts just being burned bread? When it's
When
like
it's after the bread
ash? When it's like on fire?
I think the moment that it is more charcoal than bread, that's when it ceases to be bread.
That's fair. Okay.
I
I'm
mean,
glad we settled
you could
that
have
quickly.
1,000 people and they give you 1,000 different answers.
See, that's why I like to ask people.
I hope we actually get 1,000 people and they all have like 3 answers between a lot of them.
Clearly, we should get a Twitter
I mean, that
account
might actually
and
be more.
tweet out a poll.
To whom? To Nahaz.
To Nas, because there's always 2 sides to every story. I like it when my toast is a little burnt. You imbecile! We have already covered this! Toast is burnt bread! You can't have burnt toast!
You can have slightly darker toast.
Yes, you can have
I
slightly
mean,
darker
there's
toast.
degrees of burn. So like a toast with the 1st degree burn is delicious. But any more than that is interpreted.
You have been found guilty of toast of the 3rd degree.
I think we're talking about completely different things now, but okay.
It's... Well, in the American legal system, you have...
Yeah, it's a 1st degree
crimes
murder,
of the
3rd degree
first or
murder.
third, yeah. When you can smell smoke, your toast is burnt. Well, that really depends.
Well, that means your toaster is burned.
Maybe you just haven't cleaned out your toaster recently.
That, or you're having a seizure.
I mean, that too.
Or a stroke.
That too.
I mean, I'm always having a stroke, so...
Now,
I
you
agree
can
with that.
definitely burn popcorn because the existence of popcorn is not burnt kernels.
Yeah, it's more like...
It's cooked
There-
kernels.
It's
Essentially.
like Linkin
Exactly.
Park's version of kernels.
Yeah. I take very good care of my toaster. What if your toaster catches fire? Well, I mean, then it's just charred
Doing its
bread.
job.
Like it moves from burnt bread, which is toast, to charred bread, which is charcoal.
Charcoal.
Well, if if your toaster catches fire,
You're doing something wrong.
I mean, it's usually
you should-
recoverable.
you should be worried.
The
And
magic of this
Possibly
stream
looking
showed
at a
up.
law. You should possibly be thinking about starting up a lawsuit.
Or a family.
How do we go from fanfic to talking about burnt toast? Have you ever been in a conversation with another guy?
Have you been in a conversation with Sneaky?
That too.
Staying on topic is not one of his strong suits.
I mean, I went from a conversation with my roommate talking about how best to cook tuna to the metaphysical ramifications of space and time and the connections between the two.
I mean, me and my friends just start talking about chicks at a point in time.
So, things happen and you just gotta roll with it. Like this
You-
story, let's
it-
keep
it's
going.
actual.
It wasn't that Albus intended to hurt others. He
Oh yeah,
truly
the
meant
history of the
well.
Tommy gun. I was here for that one.
Yes, the 22.
One, yeah, the one where I found out that actually, yeah, it did have a 22 variant for some fuck all reason.
The tangents we go through in this show are amazing. The other day we went to the history of the Tommy gun. Yes.
Remember, my friends, Despacito.
Alexa, this is so sad. Play Despacito. I don't actually have an Alexa.
I have Alexa. I could play.
I have an Echo Dot, but
I have like the.
I don't know if I want to set it up because I'm scared my brother's just gonna fucking yell at it all the time.
Oh, he totally will.
I mean, he yells at the stream, so. No, wait, that's Atin's brother. Is Atin even have a brother?
Despacito.
Cat has a brother.
His parents thought that was
My
a bit
brother
too
likes
old.
to just not use headphones, even though I've given him like 2 or 3 pairs. Like, hey, if you could just wear these on nights I'm in a stream, that'd be great. You don't have to use them all the time, just sometimes.
Once
Anyway,
in a blue moon.
blah blah blah. He tried to see the trees, but the nature of the job required him to look after the forest. He was the headmaster of Hogwarts, the chief warlock of the Wizengamots, and the supreme mugwump of the International Confederation of
You
Wizards.
gotta love how she names her people.
Of the three positions, the only one Albus really wanted was the headmaster of Hogwarts. Well, then why don't you fucking quit the other two? He was truly enjoyed being a teacher. Seeing his students discover the wonders of magic, it reminded him of happier, simpler times in his life.
Like what? Back when he was fighting Voldemort?
No, back when World War II was happening.
Oh yeah. That does come right before, doesn't it?
Yes. Because, you know, apparently, according to J.K. Rowling, that's when he was buggering his Nazi friend.
Alright. Is this a new theory? J.K. Rowling is a Nazi.
I mean, we've always known that. For his actions in...
Nazi, this side of the Nile.
Yes. For his actions in the war against Grindelwald, he had been awarded a seat on the Wizengamot due to his Order of Merlin First Class. A single voting seat on the governing body of magical Great Britain had not been a big hassle. The problem was that many had seen his words as infallible. That, or they despised him for standing against him.
I mean, he was gay, man. In that time.
Any chance if he is a choir boy chained up with the three-headed dog? Yeah, we're not going to go into that. That or they despise blah, blah, blah. When he was nominated for the position of chief warlock, he'd accepted it. Reluctantly, due to the politics and power of those he fundamentally opposed. He remained in the post for the same reason. So I can't let anyone else have this democratically elected post because they might do something bad. That sounds a lot like a dictatorship. I don't know if it's just me, but...
Is this me? Gabe, no.
No, this seems okay. I don't know what you're going on about, Sneaky.
You know, you would think with all those positions of power he'd be able to be useful. Well, you see, Bake, it's actually a quite simple concept. J.K. Rowling doesn't know how to write, and she kind of just introduced these positions to just make Dumbledore look really awesome.
They look cool on paper.
Like, look at all these positions he has, and everyone listens to him. He's just so amazing! And you should obviously listen to everything the authority tells you. Except when you disagree with the authority.
In that case, fuck the Popo.
It's not just JK's writing, it's the nature of YA genre. I mean, I wish we had Chrysanthemum here. I miss her. Where did she ever... Whatever happened with Chrysanthemum?
She's busy with life and stuff and has more important things to do.
Probably. Hey, Calvin's here.
I forget what name she went by.
Faye.
Faye. Oh, hello, Calvin. Yeah, good morning. What new spores of madness have we unearthed? Burnt toast. Yeah, that pretty much summarizes what we've talked about so far. YA does seem to have that problem. I will hear light novels have not had that problem just as bad. Yeah, more or less. Mortal Instruments. What is that? It's been a while.
Well, Philip Pullman's books.
Yeah.
And those are damn good.
I'll take your word for it. But anyway, let's keep going. I do love the mental gymnastics every Harry Potter author tries to like do to explain how Dumbledore is in these positions of power for like decades, but accomplishes absolutely nothing. But at the same time, tries not to build the villains up into like this impossible power base that the hero can't defeat. It's actually really amusing to watch some of these Harry Potter authors try and make their way around it. They made the show Shadowhunters. Shadowhunters.
The what? Wait, who made what?
I've never heard of that show.
It's on ABC. It's on
Isley.
Sorry.
He's only 140.
It's on ABC Freeform because they're like, hey,
I don't have TV.
Fuck this family-friendly bullshit. Let's go Freeform and start losing ratings because we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Good.
Yeah, like all the shows that were getting them top ratings, they've just slowly gotten rid of to the point, Last Man Standing they just cut funding to it. It's like, yeah, we're just done showing.
Oh yeah, you mean like their best top show that they just randomly canceled?
It's like, it's just not bringing in ratings. Your ratings charts say the exact opposite, though.
Yeah, it's totally not because it was a conservative viewpoint that was popular. Totally not. People who say that, conspiracy theorists. And when have conspiracy theorists ever been right? Except for all of those times they were absolutely right.
Yeah, but then the argument is statistically how many of those times actually count.
Well, all of the times they were right, obviously.
Okay, yeah, but statistically, what about all the times they're wrong also being added in?
Well, but see, the problem there is, like, now you're getting into the semantics of the argument.
Sneaky, you know me, and you know that semantics are usually what win arguments.
I'm aware, because the problem there is when you're trying to...
I got with punches.
The thing there is when you're trying to use the semantics of that, be like, oh, well, if it's a conspiracy theory, how many times is it right? Well, the problem there with that is that sometimes you just have crazy people. Like, you don't have people that are like, I found the truth and I want to spread it. You have people who are genuinely like frothing at the mouth. The Earth is flat, guys. It's not a planet. It's actually on the back of a giant turtle, and we're in the a terrarium of aliens.
I mean,
they still count for statistics. I'm sorry.
Honestly speaking, there was once.
Not in my statistics.
There was once a person who did the same thing, but did the
teacher specifically go out of his way to say, I'm not going to teach you statistics, I'm going to teach you how to bullshit statistics?
No. He said, I'm not going to teach you math. I'm going to teach you how to bullshit math. Because statistics is not the art of being right. It's the art of convincing everyone else you are right.
No, that's what philosophical debates are for.
And statistics.
But not.
Yeah. Let it sink in.
Not really.
That, or we could just discuss the story more.
Honestly,
this is more entertaining.
I mean, you do have fun there.
Like, I like yelling at Sneaky. It's fun.
So anyway, back to the main action point. Max is wrong, I'm right, and everyone knows it.
Well, everyone knows you're full of shit at least.
I want to be able to sell a glass of water to a drowning man. All you gotta do is you gotta crit your persuasion, dude. Just roll a 20.
Actually, as long as he's not drowning from water, you could always argue the water would help wash it down.
That's a good point. Maybe he's drowning in alcohol.
That's just gonna be you, Sneaky.
Oh God! Here, this will help you sober up. I promise.
No, I mean like alcohol, like ethanol.
Oh Jesus Christ! Here, this will help flush it out of your system. In that case,
you fuck either. Like...
But anyway, point being is that it's the semantics of the situation and who's coming up with the conspiracy theories. Now, if you want to be like, how many times has Alex Jones been right? There you go. Now you have a basis for what you're basing the statistics off of.
Has he been right about anything?
He's been right like
about
1 out of 100 times.
If you put out that much bullshit,
So
forfeit is
literally
bound to
1% of the
Yeah,
time.
he's like monkey type writer tiers of right. Like sometimes.
Oh, okay, yeah. The whole like, if you just throw enough things out there, something's gonna stick and be
Yeah,
right.
basically, yeah. Like occasionally you're like, that's crazy, that's insane, you're wrong. Ow, wow, actually you're right. Well, shit. Fuck. Like the whole gay frogs thing. Was he being what's the term for being over excessive?
Idiot?
Max, come on, help me here. Over exaggerating.
Hyperbolic?
Hyperbolic. He was being hyperbolic about the whole gay frogs thing because technically it's only one species of frog in certain areas with a specific chemical, but it was turning them gay. But the way he was portraying it made it sound like all frogs are being turned gay from the chemicals.
Isn't he also admitted that the Alex Jones on the radio thing is just a fucking
Oh yeah,
character?
no, he has fully admitted that the Alex Jones for his show is part of like main entertainment parody sort of character of like some of the more used to be out there mainstream news characters like the Sean Hannity where he would just like scream into them, Bill O'Reilly where he'd just be like fucking mouth frothing, you're wrong, I'm right because God, the tides go in, the tides go out, you can't prove that with science. By the way, that's an actual quote from Bill O'Reilly.
Wow, people like that exist. And I thought that Atin was the only one.
See, this guy is more or less nostalgia critic with science. No, he's more or less nostalgia critic with a microphone on a radio station instead of a YouTube
And for some
channel.
reason, he sells
He is a humble water merchant. Yeah, with
I will
politics
never
there.
understand why that he's got a bodybuilding line of his own.
Yeah, that too. But like no, like the rest of the people that he hires on are like the actual news people. Obviously, news with a slant, but news, like actual news. Like Paul Joseph Watson and stuff. Like you won't agree with everything he says, but he does cover actual issues more or less truthfully with a slant. He's a humble watermelon. I mean, there's probably a meme of that out there. No internet scandals or internal scandals. Yeah, because he's like not actually a bad person. He's a comedian, and not left leaning, so he doesn't rape anyone. Now that I've said enough for Twitch to shut down my channel, let's keep going with the podcast.
He's given up at this point, hasn't he? Report. That should add one to the sin count for you.
Sure. No, I've been getting better. That was the first time that happened today. I was laughing too much.
That's good.
Anyway.
I mean, it's progress.
Oh, Calvin. Oh, Calvin. Anyway.
One day, Sneaky will get that bionic body.
Yeah, I know.
Sign you up for the Jensen upgrades.
Indeed, indeed. God damn it, honestly. I'm not even... No, I'm tired. We're moving on. Anyway, so the author is purple prosing about Albus Dumbledore to set up their version of Albus Dumbledore, which after we get this chapter over and done with, I'll talk about the pros and cons of doing that in the story, because I try to actually offer advice occasionally, shocking as it is.
What the fuck is... God. I'm sorry. I just looked at chat. I regret it.
Or chat
I'd be
something.
around doing that.
We need to make a new role for Isley to go with the archival role.
Heckler?
Local degenerate or something. I don't
Local
know.
degenerate.
Navi fan.
My god. Anyway, so blah blah blah, they voted him to the ICU, blah blah blah, he's super strong and powerful, blah blah blah, the Minister of Magic was corrupt, blah blah blah, not many people want the job, blah blah blah, money money money, blah blah blah, the Potters were killed, blah blah blah, sent them to the wrong place, blah blah blah, child disappeared, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Petunia never found the kid. Blah 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 blah. Tri-Wizard tournament's now currently going on. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. Basically normal Harry Potter shit that anyone that knows Harry Potter at all would know. That they're just regurgitating. Blah 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 blah. We're at the draw scene. Okay, so apparently this entire like 3/4 of the chapter of introspection from Albus Dumbledore was just during the champion selection scene. Like he's just sitting there thinking about his entire life choices that led up to this moment.
I mean, if I was in this pick, I'd be doing the same.
I mean, I probably would too, to be honest. How did I get here? Oh yeah, the murders. Anyway. Blah 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 canon, blah 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 canon. The fourth ticket shoots out and Albus grabs it. Reading it aloud, he couldn't believe the name written on it. Harriet Potter, he whispered to himself. Of course, in the silence of the shocked hall, his whisper carried to everyone's ear. This was as wonderful in Albus's thoughts as it was terrible. This was a wonderful event for the Goblet of Fire, who would not select a person who was deceased. But it was terrible, because not only had someone fooled the Goblet of Fire, which was a highly powerful magical object, but when he used the goblet to summon the girl, and he had to, as the goblet created a binding magical contract between itself and those who it selected. Okay, so an important bit here that a lot of people seem to get wrong. So, the thing here is J.K. Rowling, in canon, said the whole goblet scheme only worked because Harry turned in homework with his name on it, willingly gave it to the teacher who was the disguised Death Eater, who then tore the scrap of willingly given name, magically charged with his signature, off of the paper and then put it into the goblet. And that's why it worked, because Harry willingly gave it and he signed it magically as a wizard in a wizard school. So I don't know where the hell they would get a scrap of paper that Harriet Potter, as a 1-year-old baby, wrote her full name on and then willingly gave to someone, who then willingly gave it to him. But critical plot hole fail right there, often. He gave it to the 10th Doctor, of course. Wouldn't Summer be way past the appropriate age? Yes, Summer is currently like 25 or something right now. The author's hand-waving excuse for that is that time happens faster in Remnant. And basically, the excuse for this is they want Summer to have disappeared from Remnant, where she goes back to the Harry Potter verse to learn magic for like a couple months to a year or something, and then comes back to Remnant only to find Ruby is no longer 3, she's actually in Beacon now, or something like that. So they can basically give... Now, admittedly, I will reduce the sin count on this story for this. Because this is actually a well thought out, if with plot holes leading up to it, and as an excuse of how it works, but it's actually a well thought out procession of events that gets the main character, Harriet Potter, to grow up in Remnant, have interactions in Remnant, to then go back to learn magic, to then come back to Remnant with this now learned magical knowledge to interact with the known canonical Ruby timeline from the shows. Is it good? No, but I will give the author credit for actually having a well thought out procession of events. That being said, that is actually really my opinion. That's an emote? What? What did you say?
That left a bad taste in your mouth, didn't it?
Mildly, yeah.
Honestly, the more I am seeing of this fic, the less I would... Like, the more I want to punch the author in the face.
Yeah. Star, fairly well thought out. I mean, like I said, I have to give the author credit, even if I dislike it. Aren't I being a bit forgiving here? No, not really, because you would be shocked how many people don't even think this through. Now, final score will be raised, because like I said, they did have several plot holes allowing this sequence of events to happen, but it wasn't actually thought out procession of events. I'm not drunk. I'm a bit tipsy. Maybe I feel like being generous today.
Why do you make a sin code? Oh wait, sin code is a negative for one.
Yes.
That is new.
Isley, I have... Alright. Blah, 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 blah. Harriet Potter has been chosen! Harriet Potter must appear! The goblet's blue flames turned red, flaring into a pillar of fire! The pillar grew before it began to bend until the arc of bright red flame was created between the goblet and the floor in front of it. The base of the pillar on the floor began to widen. Then in one last flash, the fire disappeared, leaving behind a figure laying on the floor wearing what appeared to be a white cloak.
Nice.
The woman revealed was not what Albus expected. She had her red hair cut short, so dark that it appeared black except for the ends of her hair.
Did she have what's it called, My Chemical Romance t-shirt as well?
No, not yet.
When I was a young boy, my father asked me if I put my name in the goblet of fire.
Her eyes, rather than the bright green he expected, were a pale silver. Most importantly, rather than a girl of 14, she was clearly a woman fully grown.
What are you doing in the school?
Harriet, he called. The woman turned to face him, leveling her silver eyes upon him. Albus noted she reached for something within the folds of her cloak. Summer, the woman corrected him. Where am I? She then demanded. The Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Albus answered. The woman eyed him a moment before she spoke again. I've never heard of the place. What kingdom are we in? The United Kingdom, Scotland if you wish to be specific, he informed her, seeing the look of disbelief on her face before she could say anything else. Albus offered, "Perhaps we should discuss this in a more private setting, and I'm afraid that before that, there's going to be some business we must attend to as the reason as to why you were summoned here." "What business?" she asked, clearly suspicious. Albus couldn't blame her. Before she could answer, she then added, "For that matter, who are you?" Where the fuck did she get red hair from? Lily and James had brown eyes. She got her red hair from Lily and her silver eyes because fuck you.
Doom, 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 doom.
What would happen if the Terminator appeared in the middle of the Great Hogwarts Hall? Who are you? I am who? Who? Doctor.
But Doctor Who?
What is with Britain and they're like, my name is Bond. James Bond. My name is Doctor Who. Who? Yes.
I mean, they only have two things in their culture. One is that, and the other is the domination of other lower.
Nice.
It's not even a joke. I don't know why you're laughing. Just the truth.
Anyway, after the following of elderly men. Sorry, my brain shit itself. After following the elderly man, who had introduced himself as Albus Dumbledore, the headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, into the small antechamber of the hall, Summer found herself in a room with the old headmaster. And Jesus Christ, author, your love of commas is excessive and prosy. Literally, that is a paragraph as one sentence because they just keep going with more and more and more commas. Fuck you for every single time. That is a sin. For every single comma I see, that is a sin.
Why was the sin count at negative?
Because I was cheering on their ability to actually contrive a plot sequence of events that would realistically be believable in terms of fan fiction as to why Harriet Potter ended up with no magic powers and now she come back to Remnant with magic powers after being summoned to Harry Potterverse. I was being generous. Clearly I shouldn't have been with this author. They took advantage of my generosity. I think you misspelled 5 million.
5 million billion.
No.
I don't know
No,
if we
fine,
have
no.
enough time left for Sneaky to hold the button down that long.
I said a sin per comma. There's at least 500 commas here.
Start counting.
Give him one sin for every person that's...
Yeah, whoa! You're the gets on here. You start counting.
I'm not the one making baseless accusations with a number like 500. Maybe 200. I could
All
probably.
right, I consoled you. Max, how many commas are in this story?
4.
Hang on.
More or less, Bake.
Let's say that's 8 right there in this paragraph. 1 comma every 5 to 6. How many words is this chapter?
Yes.
That doesn't help me at all. 7,900 divided by 3. That's about 2,000. Let's assume, for the sake of averaging math, it's 2,300 divided by 6.
Actually, no, I can't copy and paste Calvin. Fanfiction
Okay,
actually is featured.
so
prevent that, but I
About
could
about
technically
300 some odd commas, going with a comma for every 5 to 6 words on average for an assumption of 2,300 words this chapter.
Technically, I could go into mobile mode, copy and paste it into Notepad++, and then do a find for every comma, and that'll tell me the exact amount of commas in this story, which I think I might do after we're done, of course. What followed was a quick rundown of the blah blah blah. She got explained everything. Blah 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 blah. 2, 3 problems. My name is Summer Rose, not Harriet Potter. 2, I'm not a student of any of 3 schools. 3rd, and most importantly, I'm not a wizard or a witch for that matter. Dumbledore sighed sadly. I'm afraid it's not that simple, Miss Rose. The very fact you were chosen by the Goblet of Fire as a champion confirms you are indeed a witch. One of the requirements for being selected is that you have magic. And as such, your magic is now bound to the goblet. Should you not participate, it will strip your magic from you and you shall die. As for your name, I would hazard that you either grew up in an orphanage or were adopted. Harriet Potter is your birth name. It's the only way the goblet would summon you. Summer's jaw clenched in frustration. And the fact that I'm not a student, I'm afraid that at this juncture, the fact is irrelevant. You have been selected by the goblet to participate, and by God you will. Should I have said by Merlin instead? The fact that you're not a student in the 3 schools is immaterial. The headmaster of the school turned to the 2 government officials in charge, as well as the 2 headmasters from the other schools in the tournament. I believe we have concluded our business for the tournament tonight, unless anyone has something to add. He paused for a moment, and when no one spoke up, he continued. In that case, it is late. Miss Rose, if you will accompany me, I shall take you to a room you can use. We can discuss your situation in greater detail in the morning, after we've all rested and had some time to think. If that isn't acceptable to you, of course. The huntress took a breath to calm herself. It wasn't as though she had a choice at the moment. She had no idea where she was. Apparently, there was something about this tournament that would kill her if she didn't participate. Plus, she was still sore from her fight with the Grim before she fell from the cliff. Not to mention her aura was still depleted, and she needed time and rest to restore it. She wasn't happy, but the headmaster had a point. Looking clearly at the headmaster of Hogwarts, she said, "It's not as though I have much of a choice at the moment. Still, right now a bed sounds wonderful." If you can't tell, I am trying real hard not to bash Dumbledore. He is powerful and put on a high pedestal, but he's also flawed and takes the weight of the world upon his own shoulders. At least that's how I'm trying to write him. Please review. So I did say I would convert to mobile mode and see how many commas this specific chapter has. So I shall, yep, and then do a find for a comma. Count 221 commas in total.
So my initial estimate of about 200 was correct. I was honestly saying that as a joke. Yeah, I'm kind of scared that that was right.
Anyway, so it's about 8 o'clock, which means we get to more fix after I talk about the important things when you were writing a story. So, it is important to introduce characters in your story in a proper, thought-out manner that paces them not too quickly so it doesn't seem like you're just shoving all the information at the reader, but not too slowly so the reader actually has time to build up a reason as to why they would either dislike or like the characters. For example, introducing a character in chapter 20 and then killing them in the next chapter isn't going to elicit too much of a response. Introducing the character in chapter 2 and then killing them in chapter 21 would elicit far greater response.
Yep. I can attest to that.
Is Hermione in a fanfic and Ron and other Ruby characters? No. Okay, so basically, no, that wasn't my racist preacher. Basically, it's going to be Harry Potter versus Universe A, Ruby versus Universe B, and authorial handwave bullshit connects the two. We managed to make it in 2 fics in one stream. This hasn't happened in a while. But anyway, so point being, you want to update, you want to, load your characters up to the reader in a nice pacing, especially the important ones. But the key part is you have to give the reader time to like the character, and especially the main character, to like the character and be like, I want to read more. Because if you start off with your first chapter and like, boom, this is my main character, and then you're like, next chapter, we're going to talk about someone completely fucking different and not related at all to the main character at this point in time. Not that this is what the author did here, but I'm just talking about generalities right now. I have seen this done in published works, and I have seen this done in fanfiction works, where they were just like, boom, now that we got the setup going, let's introduce unrelated characters that will be relevant in the future, but right at this moment, not at all. It turned me off from the story, because I was like, okay, I'm sort of getting a feel for this character that just got introduced as the MC. Where are we going from here? And we're on a different character now. Okay, I don't care anymore. Because you gotta give it at least a little bit of a buffer. This is personal, of course, obviously, but I'm sure I speak for at least some people when I go, you gotta... you have more wiggle room when you're talking about characters and introducing new ones. If it's like, I'm going to talk about the MC in the first chapter, it's like, okay, so this is what the MC is. And then you switch to, like, the dad, or the grandfather, or some shit like that that's, like, directly related, and the reader can draw obvious connections to them, to the main character. You got a bit more wiggle room then. But if it's like, for example, in Aragon, where it's like, Aragon, it's like, okay, this is Aragon. Hey, let's talk about Ira and what happened with the dragon egg. Explain all that in a chapter. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? Who the fuck are these characters?
I think that's more a personal gripe, because,
No, I know it is. It is. Like I said, this is a personal opinion. But I just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Tolkien spends so much time talking about the elves in, like, the first book, and they show up, but then they just disappear for, like, an entirety of a book.
Yes, that's true. But that's Tolkien, and not everyone's Tolkien.
Because if you set them up as, like, these amazing beings and they show up, you have, like, certain expectations.
Sure.
You're building your audience up towards the big reveal.
Right.
By giving them little hints and snippets. And
well, so
maybe,
the difference there, though, is with Tolkien, he actually built them up and made the audience invested in them, and then moved on.
The most beautiful thing he did was, he painted them to be these perfect fucking creatures, and then went like, yeah, about that.
Yeah, well, see, that's the point, though, is he actually did build up,
There's a method to it, basically.
Yeah, there is a method to it, and that's what I'm basically saying. Like, Aragon sort of failed at this. Like, I enjoyed Aragon, and I read Aragon, because at the time, I didn't know what fanfiction was. So I was purely dependent on whatever hardcover books I could get my hands on as a child.
Same.
And so I read Aragon, not because I wanted to read more Aragon, but because it was the only fucking book I hadn't read yet in my library. So
it was the same thing. Somebody gifted me the first book of Aragon. I'm like, I am somewhat intrigued, but I mean,
yeah, obviously, as Aragon went on, I was more invested in the book series, and then you got to Eldest, I was like, oh, this is real good, and then we got past Eldest, and I was just like...
Inheritance was just kind of a cop-out. I think even he was running out of ideas. How the fuck
yeah, he kind of was. But the point being is that Max has not OD'd on drugs. I would like to squelch these rumors immediately.
I mean, that's kind of my joke.
Isley is claiming that you have overdosed on drugs.
Oh, so I've been sitting here silently for the last like, I don't know, 15 minutes.
Yeah, Isley's implying that you turn to drugs to soothe your fanfiction affliction. No drugs, just bad fanfiction. Really, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is like commonly known among our community yet or not, but like I have self-professed low standards. I can get enjoyment out of anything.
Yes.
I could just flip a switch and be completely safe from any like sanity reducing effects that might be there.
Point being, the Ira, the sudden Ira chapter will forever be hyper confusing to me. Like back when I read it originally, and when I started rereading the series back when Brissinger and shit came out, and I forgot what happened in the previous 2 books because it took them like 6 years. But I was thoroughly confused by the sudden abrupt. Hey, we're talking about 3 characters. The 2 of them are dead now. Oh, this is a traumatic scenario. Oh, she's been hit by a weapon. Oh, she teleports. So that's where the egg came from. Oh, so that's why this chapter is relevant. I'm glad we learned why the chapter is relevant at the end of the chapter. Instead of
I mean, honestly, I think it was a downward spiral right after, like, I think the height of the series was that fight between Murtagh and
Aragon on the plains of strife or whatever.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. The
That
film
was
was better. You can get the actual fuck out. You can leave, Calvin.
What's he say?
He said the Aragon film was better than the books.
Oh, fuck off.
Calvin, I've never been more disappointed in you than I am right now.
Oh no, the video game on the DS was even better.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And may I point out, I actually bought that fucking game.
Look, I was so excited. I was like,
Wait.
oh, they're making an Aragon game. I bought it for the Xbox, and I played it. I was just like, why are the Urgles fat men? What the hell's going on?
The DS version was something else.
Okay, look, if you read the Aragon book and the Eldest book, you would hate the movie. Because what the movie did, it was like, we're on chapter 1. Now we're 2, 3, 4, 10, 17, 9, 22, 13, 17 again. And it's just like, wait, fucking what? Also, chapter 5 of Eldest. What?
Because I mean, it's kind of like the Dragon Ball evolution of book movies.
You look upon DxD and worship it for its good writing and modest characters. DxD?
One more series I read alongside.
Do we know the same Are we talking about the same series here?
I don't think we are. Wait, did you ever read those Inkheart?
I did.
Sneaky.
I did.
Those were like the other books that were popular on the same
Those are
time.
pretty dank. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, they were pretty fucking good.
Have you ever read the Magic series spelled with a K?
I know that wasn't very popular back then.
You know, it was not popular, but I actually enjoyed that one as well. Like, it wasn't the best in terms of narrative writing, but it was just really enjoyable to read the adventures. The adventures kind of read like D&D adventures, so it was cool.
In India, like on every bookstore, you could find like the fucking Inheritance trilogy. You could find what's it called? You could find Percy Jackson, which I tried and I fucking hated. Even as a fucking teenager, I was like,
I liked the first book of Percy Jackson. Everything past that was a clusterfuck to me.
And I had this one friend who kept on telling me, "Oh, it gets better. You should read more." So I ended up reading. Guess how many?
7.
Yes, from the entire main series, basically. I read it. And then he's like, "Oh, but they get good because now we have the Legacy of Kane or something." No, that's the video game. The Chronicles. And then they have this other one with Jason Momoa or something. I don't fucking know.
Wait, what about Jason
The
Momoa?
Romans one. They made one for the Romans then.
Oh yeah, how all the gods actually have split personalities of their
Yeah,
Roman
and then
versions,
they mixed
which are
the
more
Greek,
serious than their non.
and then they mixed the Greek one with the Roman one. I thought at some point they brought the Egyptian one, which is the Cain ones, in there as
Yeah,
well.
they did.
So, did you ever just have a moment
And it,
where you just looked at him and you just asked, "So when does it get good again?"
we stopped being friends.
Ooh.
Woof.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got we got quite a bit here to work off of. So we're gonna go with the Weaver option.
The what option?
The Weaver option.
The one where we all go to sleep after getting done.
Warhammer and okay, yeah, this can't
Warhammer
possibly
and
end
Worm.
horribly.
Oh god.
And you are about to hear.
Isn't this like wait, didn't somebody else write a Warhammer Worm story that we know?
Yes, Isley wrote a Warhammer Worm story, and trust me when I say this,
don't we
Isley's
bring-
story makes more sense than this one.
Why don't we get Isley on the voice chat for this one?
I don't know.
As the only person who's written a Worm Warhammer
And
crossover.
does Isley have a headset to talk with?
We can finally also erase Atin's doubt with the Isley's about Isley's gender.
Isley is
Does that-
writing a Wormhammer story.
Yes,
Is
the Warhammer.
writing. Out of curiosity, does Atin actually go back and watch the old podcasts that he misses, like I sometimes do?
No, he doesn't.
What we got to do.
Isaac has a mic that doesn't work. Well, you're just not trying hard enough.
Well, you
Yeah.
didn't use enough duct tape. Enough for. Sorry, I didn't read. I apologize. I didn't read the summary. The Weaver option. It is the 45th millennium and the galaxy is dying. 45th. That's right. You read it correct, folks. 45th.
Oh, it's
Is that supposed to happen?
No. We're about 3 millenniums ahead of the canon.
Hmm.
Oh. Wait, yeah,
Mhm.
that's like. Wait, we're in the 41st, right? No, wait.
We're at the end of the 41st.
Yeah, we're at the end of the 41st millennium.
Like, each book they release and each update they make, it used to be like 10-year leaps.
Didn't their latest update just bring back a lot of characters?
Oh, yeah, it did. But, like, the thing is like, each release was, like, advancing the timeline, and they used to be, like, by 50 years, by 10 years, and shit like that. But, like, the most recent updates were, like, 6 months later, 2 months later. Because they
that means
realized...
they're building up to something big.
No. See, the problem is over the course of all the updates in the books and the games they've released and the timeline that they've established, the next year, basically the entrance to the 42nd millennium is basically going to be the end of existence. Because the super hyper Tyrannid fleet is going straight for Earth. A mega orc wog that's eating the galaxy has started. The Chaos are doing some crazy shit with the Eye of Terror. The Imperium's like imploding right now. The Tau are like, hey, we're relevant again. And the Eldar are like, hey, we resurrected a god.
Which one?
Death.
Oh.
I see nothing wrong happening from this.
And then Death was like, hey, guys! Time to murder some people! Also, hey, Imperium! Have your coolest Primarch back!
That sounds like a mistake.
And now the Imperium and the Light Eldar are allied.
By coolest Primarch.
Papa Smurf, Mega Smurf of the Ultramarines.
Oh god, you're a Smurf lover, aren't you? Okay.
No, I'm not a Smurf lover. I like the Salamanders.
Oh, alright. So you love the Jamaicans?
Felbaden is back. Yeah, death. The Dark Eldar being obnoxious, and normal Eldar trying to help be better. Okay, look. Normally I would say you're right, Isley, but they did just kind of resurrect death.
I mean, the irony of that is not lost on me, but why?
Because they're like, only death can kill all the Chaos Gods, and I'm just sitting here like, well, you're not wrong.
But you're not right.
Yeah. Yeah, Robert Gulliman. Yeah. He's good shit. Alright, good night, Calvin. And so, point being, the author
Calvin.
is just, like, so fucking far out of left field with the timeline. They're basically going to ignore it.
Are they doing something cool with the Necrons or something?
Oh yeah, the Necrons are also waking up and actually leaving their planets now.
Alright.
Sounds potentially bad.
No chance of seeing a Satana, is there?
I think there's like one Satan left, and he's also waking up. I think that's why the Necrons are mobilizing.
Oh boy.
Something like that. Like, don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I've looked at it all. Isley can probably tell you more.
I'm pretty sure authorial bullshit will make it so that the humans will still survive.
I mean, that's sort of like the point of Warhammer 40k is, even with everything happening and how fucking horrible the Imperium is, there's humanity still holding on.
I mean, it's barely humanity.
Oh yeah, the Void Dragon's waking up on Mars!
Oh, isn't that the one that was a shard of Satan that was shut down by the big man Trump himself?
Yeah!
Oh boy. I thought that was just... I thought they decided not to make that canon.
Tracy in the Infinite is the best waifu husbandu. Yes. Maybe. On the verge of victory over the Imperium, the Chaos Forces have proven unable to stem the tide against the Great Devourer and the trillions of Tyranids. Only one option. Cross dimensions and find a hero able to triumph where billions have utterly failed and changed the course of the past. So, basically, it's going to be a lot of blah, 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 that I kind of sort of have to read so you can understand my disgust for this fic, where it says a shit ton of words but doesn't actually go anywhere or explain why it's really happening. But, generally the premise of this fic is that Chaos is like, hey, so we're going to summon a hero from, like, pre-Space Age Earth and corrupt them and then send them back in time to win the war for Chaos before we summon them.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing Zinj, it's a possibility that he might go for something so convoluted.
This isn't a timeline fuck up, it's a we fucked up towards the past. Yeah, anyway.
Isn't there a simpler way to do all this stuff?
Also, yeah, but also no time shenanigans, because that doesn't happen on purpose.
If he could go to the past, he'd just eradicate humanity straight out.
Okay, so more than 150 centuries after the Emperor sat on the Golden Throne, blah blah blah, he was blah blah blah, invisible power, blah blah, carrion lord, blah blah blah, deathless state, blah 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 blah, blah blah blah, Warhammer, blah blah blah, blah blah. In the end, the holy world of Terra and Golden Throne itself was under siege, but heretics, mutants, demons, and Xenos did not savor their approaching triumph for very long. The Tyranids were here, and the galaxy fell to its appetite. Divided and sworn to selfish masters, the race of the galaxy fell against the ultimate predators. Hope died, and the galaxy was consumed. Yet, in the final hours preceding the final defeat, a last gambit was attempted, and the course of history would never be the same again. Also, the Great Devourer, as a reminder to everyone, may or may not be part of the Tyranids, but more or less it's what the Tyranids are running from.
What is the Great Devourer exactly?
It eats galaxies.
So it's literally just a gigantic thing that gobbles up galaxies.
Yes. Maybe.
Huh.
No, apparently no, according to Isley. It's been a while, like I said. Alright, Isley, lay us down the facts. The Great Devourer is the Tyranids, okay.
Oh.
It's their nickname. Okay, so the author's wrong then.
Alright, does that mean?
Excellent.
I mean, consider they eat everything they find. It's
Well, yeah, but the problem there is the author's like, the Great Devourer and the Tyranids have showed up. We don't know what they're running from, yeah.
a very big
Oh, okay then.
To be fair, if she can control the Tyranids, and remember she uses their brain power, meaning she could conceivably become the hive mind. Well, it's funny you mentioned that story, Isley, because I have a treat for you, actually. After we get done reading this story, I'm actually going to bring up the Warhammer 40k story where Taylor is a hive mind.
Of course. Hive mind fics are almost as popular as gamer fics.
Really?
Yep.
I've only seen like 2.
You've seen like 4 on this fucking podcast.
What?
Sometimes it's StarCraft, sometimes it's Warhammer.
Oh, no, I was talking about Warhammer specifically.
Oh, no, I'm talking about like everything.
I'll link it in the Discord in case you're curious.
It can't be that bad.
It's really good, actually.
Oh, alright.
And they used to update fairly regularly, but then they stopped.
Just like us.
Yeah, except like they update it every day.
I don't know, we don't have that kind of...
So not quite like you guys.
I mean, we updated once a week, so... Plus our chapters were...
The noise was infernal. Thousands of corrupted tanks of the Black Legion opened fire at the same time, deafening any humans or Xenos stupid enough not to have thought of this.
Oh, he's reading in his real voice.
Hundreds of thousands of tons of weight of batteries followed their movements. Snipers adjusted their targets for fast and light rounds. Shells fell upon the charred battlefield, leaving large craters. It was a scene of apocalypse, and the city was covered in ashes.
Warfare.
Like,
I love how people have to sit down and feel the need to spend like 3 or 4 paragraphs explaining how basic warfare is done.
Things were exploding and people were firing guns at each other, but sit down and let me explain it to you in excruciating detail so I can show off how much wiki diving I did.
And how much my English worked.
Explosion Dietrich landed in a nefarious rain, poisoning and corrupting the ground, spawning more horrors everywhere. Corrupted dreadnoughts unleashed their fury, pouring hundreds of heavy bolter rounds in seconds, recharging and then unleashing more. Large blasts of liquid protium carbonized the living and the dead, the flamethrowers repeating their sinister task as fast as they could. Like an implacable juggernaut, a lone reaver titan towered over the battlefield, crushing allies and the enemy open bad luck to meet its path. Weapons of unimaginable power flash, dispensing death in an instant to entire sections of the plain. Valkyries fought in the sky with missiles, surrounding their opponents with plasma, and to entire sections whoever came in close distance. Reality sundered as demonic legions emerged from the warp and tore up the frontiers of the material realm. So basically a large-ass battle is happening. It's Warhammer tier, demons and Tyranids and explosions, and like I said, it says a lot of words that mean absolutely jack fuck all.
Oh.
Yay! Those are our favorite kind of words.
So anyway, some walls of text later. For Abadan, the Black Legion, rah rah, underground, they're underground, oh my god, they're beneath us, oh my god, the carnifexes are coming, 10 or thousands of carnifexes are coming. Everyone's dying. Oh no. High Fleet Sidious. Blah, 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 blah. At least will cost them resources for all the good it'll do. They're eating everything. What a way they end it all. When compared to the size of the first Tyranid High Fleet detective fought and vanquished in the 41st millennium by the false emperor lackeys or the Xenos, High Fleet Sidious with 10 times the size of Behemoth, Kraken, and Leviathan combined. Like, holy shit. This straight up sounds like some stupid fucking story that someone is telling you in, like, the card shop about their Warhammer game and their Tyranid OC fleet.
I mean, you're pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much what this is.
Yeah, this is literally the way this is being described is straight up just some fucking random person who's come up to you because they saw you looking at some Warhammer figurine and they haven't fucking stopped talking for the past 20 minutes.
I mean, there's always one person like that in Warhammer.
Because you made the mistake of coming in during Warhammer night.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Literally everyone's dead. Blah, blah, blah. Every known planet's dead. Blah, 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 blah. Everyone's dead. Everyone's losing. Everyone's dead. Everyone's losing. Everyone's dead. Everyone's losing. Blah, 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 blah. What's the will of Siege? A ritual. Do a ritual. What kind of ritual? Don't be stupid. It's a ritual to do things. Why me? Because everyone else is dead. Okay, let me do the ritual then. Alright, let's do it. Alright, we're doing the ritual. Now they're doing a ritual and everything's particle effects. Just imagine a shit ton of particle effects. Green and blue colors going everywhere. Add some fucking sparklers to the end of these bolts of blue and green. And that's basically what the author's describing right now. Well, should I sit down and describe this for you? I'm fucking not gonna. You know why I'm not gonna? Because it's a bunch of fucking words going nowhere. So more blah blah blah, and whoa! I'm surprised by the Tyranid assassins! I'm gonna die, Scoob! Oh, but shocker, it wasn't Tyranid assassins. It was actually the Ultramarines, here to disrupt the ritual of summoning a hero.
Well, why?
They disrupted the ritual because anything chaos is clearly evil and must be stopped at all costs. Well, what are you gonna do, you stupid not chaos marine? Do your own ritual? Ha! That's where you're wrong. We've already completed the ritual, and the uncorrupted champion has already been sent into the past. How? That is impossible. This was disastrous. What is going on? Then he was shot in the face by the Ultramarine. Goodbye, traitor. Nothing personal. And then he stood before the Tyranid hordes and the Chaos hordes and took out 2 lightsabers and screamed for the Emperor. I would also like to read out the final lines for you all because of how cringe. The sorcerer closed his eyes, the energies of the Empyrean flooding the chamber, the sounds of a bolter firing. Before everything came dark, millennial battle cry arrived to his ears for the Emperor. Not even exclamation mark. Period. Now, Sneaky, for the Emperor as a classic. Yes, you're right, it is a classic. However, no exclamation mark.
What the fuck is the what?
What?
What's the Emperor?
For the Emperor.
Is that how orcs say it?
Said with an accent.
Okay, that's just the orcs being orcs. Got it.
No, it's not orking. It's people memeing.
Oh god.
Everyone shouts for the Emperor, and so now people are shouting with an accent like for the Emperor. You know, because meme. So anyway, we're gonna go back to we're gonna go back to the 35th millennium. And,
yeah, you do that. I'll be back in a moment.
I mean, we're not really gonna be covering this too much. So basically, the first chapter was a whole shitload of nothing, where the author just described a fuckload of particle effects and explosions, Michael Bay style, and then was like, "Ha! You all thought the person would be corrupted, but the Ultramarines actually somehow landed on a planet, evading all the Tyranid forces." And evading chaos detection. And actually, it was part of Zinch's plan all along.
Typical Zinch.
And generally, it's just really dumb. So basically, the premise of this is where I started reading the story, and I was like, okay, next chapter. I got to like chapter 7 or something, and then I was just like, I'm bored. Nothing's happening, because like the author is trying to build up this in really short chapters, by the way, comparatively to what they're trying to do. So there's around 16 chapters, and it's around 140k-ish words. So it's around 8 to 9-ish k, if my math checks out, in terms of wordage per chapter. But the problem there is that they're trying to set up this like big battle where like the Imperium is holding out on this planet, and there's guardsmen holding these lines, but wait, the person in charge of the guardsmen's incompetent and is basically sending this group of guardsmen off to die. And they all know they're gonna die. And then basically then the orcs show up, and then Chaos Marines show up, and then Taylor just appears and is like, I control the bugs, and all the Imperium's like, oh my god, she's a saint blessed by the Emperor.
Okay.
And then people are like, no, she's a heretic, and she's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm killing people just fine. Because that's what I do as Taylor. Kill people. And, yeah, more or less, it's just really dumb overall. I didn't really, like, it. My main problem was I probably would have liked this story way more if the author didn't, like, hop from the Imperium view to the next chapter is the orcs getting ready to fight, and the next chapter is the Chaos getting ready to fight, and then the next chapter is the Imperium entrenching themselves, and the next chapter is the Chaos Marines running from Eldar or something, and then the next chapter is the orcs show up and trample the Chaos Marines that appeared to kill the Imperium while running from the Eldar. And then Taylor shows up in the next chapter, and then in the next chapter Taylor fights the orcs, and then in the next chapter she finishes fighting the orcs, and then in the next, like, you see what I mean by a shitload of words saying nothing? And not even to mention the fact that she apparently, like, gets a shitload of bugs that will kill orcs and eat them all in time. But, yeah, it's just like, it goes nowhere, it says nothing, people exceedingly enjoy this, and I can't fathom why. It's got a amazingly slow update rate. Now, I know I can't really talk too much since I've taken several months off of writing, but, like, it started back in August of 2016. We're in August of 2018. About 5 days after they started this story, they're at 16 chapters. They're about done a book, which, in relative terms of being paid to produce, that's about a normal book size for a fantasy story. And it's absolutely boring. And, I mean, it's a good pacing, I guess. But it just updates so slow. Because you gotta keep in mind, this isn't 137,000 words in one go. No, this is over time. This is 16 chapters over the course of 2 years. And for 8K chapters that come out every couple of months, that pretty much go nowhere with the story. Like, we got to like chapter 12 or something before the first battle was finished. Like, it's chapter 16 is the end of the first quote-unquote book in the time frame a normal book is produced. And yet, we finished the first battle by the end of chapter 12-ish. So it's just like, it takes so long to get anywhere because they kept changing the point of views instead of just focusing solely on Taylor and just being like, Taylor arrives, Taylor interacts with guardsmen, orcs appear, Taylor freaks out, Taylor kills orcs. Like, like the author is trying to show all these different points of view, but also updates at the speed of crystallizing honey.
What the fuck did I come back to?
My main complaints with the Warhammer Worm story, in that basically the author's taken about a book's time to create, and about a book's word count, maximum word count, to write, basically one single battle.
Did they think that they were writing out a campaign and just forgot?
Well, no, because the problem is they every single chapter they would swap to the next point of view of whenever other armies are there. So, like, one chapter would be the Imperials, one chapter would be Taylor, one chapter would be the Orcs, one chapter would be the Chaos Marines, one chapter would go back to the Imperials, and then the Orcs again are now attacking. And, like, it took him like 60k words just to get everyone to the point where they were shooting at each other. And we started. The problem there is normally it's like, oh, okay, maybe there's some preempt to this. No, literally this first chapter starts with them being sent to this battle.
Ew, I see the problem.
And it's just like 12 chapters in, we finally finished the battle. After like a year and a half of waiting. And they go nowhere. They say a lot of words. I'm saying a lot of words now and going nowhere. We're done talking about this story. If you want to read it, the link is in the Discord. If you don't want to read it, then don't bother. You're not missing anything. And so, yeah, we're getting near that end time. Now next Friday, I'm not too sure what my schedule is going to be like, but it's likely going to mimic, what I've done before. So I will make an announcement in the Discord if this changes, but expect it to start around 7:30 again. Anything else to say at this time? No, not really. Not much else to say at all. Cruel had to go. I just stopped bothering with the sin count because it's just like, it wasn't even like really a sin of the story. It was just, I can't fault the author for not updating super quick. But at the same time, I sort of can fault the author for not updating super quick with the path they took of how to narrate their story. You know what I mean? Max?
Yeah, I'm aware of what you mean.
Yeah.
It's a problem that you and I really need to fix ourselves.
Well, yeah, see, the problem with our story is our update speed. But the way they chose to narrate their story with all these changing points of view, you kind of have to update pretty quick for that. Because if you're waiting for, Chapter 3 comes out, you gotta wait 2 more months for the next chapter, for Chapter 4 to come out, but you're still on the exact same topic, except just from a different point of view, and then 2 more months, and then it's a different point of view again, but it's still talking about the exact same thing the previous 2 chapters were talking about. So you're spending like 6 to 8 months talking continuously still about the exact same event from just different points of view.
Yeah. And that only works in book settings.
Well,
when
I
it's
mean,
when it's a it only
fast,
works. It only works in completed works. Is the issue. Like there are certain writing styles that only work in a here is a book.
Yeah, here's everything in one go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be everything on one go. It's just here is a full length book. Like
that's
here's
actually a big
part
problem
1.
I have with Deus Ex, Mass Effect: Human Evolution. So the writer of Deus Ex, one of the writers of Deus Ex: Human Evolution, is writing a Mass Effect Deus Ex: Human Evolution crossover.
Yes, you've told us about this multiple times.
And I know, I'm just saying, and it's 1,000,000 words long now, or something crazy like that. And he updates.
Right, is he making his own fucking Mass Effect trilogy?
Yes, that's what I'm getting to. Is he updates fairly slowly, and the main problem with his story, it's excellently written, of course. The top-notch characterization, very thorough plot, very original plot. Very original, lots of shit, pays massive attention to the sort of butterfly effects a human revolution humanity would have in the Mass Effect verse compared to the Mass Effect canon humanity. Really goes heavily in depth to all the things that would change, how Mass Effect would change the cybernetics, really goes heavy in depth into it. But the problem is he's using original planets with shit tons of original characters, a completely original plot line with more original characters, and they're doing original things, built off the premise of Deus Ex and Mass Effect. But it's all original content, and it's a shitload of original content. It's basically its own series. If you didn't know Mass Effect and you didn't know Human Evolution, you could sit down and read this series, and maybe you would be a bit confused as to why this character is more important than everyone else, or the backstory to Jensen. But even still, minor confusion that passes quickly because he explains everything like it's a book because, shocker, he's a professional fucking writer. But you can't read it. You cannot read it until it's complete because, Jesus Christ, you will forget everything until he updates the next chapter. And then you'll have to reread the whole damn thing to even have any idea what's going on. But it's not his fault. He's doing it chapter by chapter release. And his sort of thing does not work chapter by chapter. But it's still really good.
Yeah.
It's why I don't recommend it to people. I'll talk the moon about it. But I can't recommend it to anyone. Not until it's completed, at least.
Yeah.
But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining us today. We're going to be ending it about 6 minutes early. But, I don't see too many people complaining about that right now. So,
meeting wouldn't end. I'm sorry.
We'll see you all next time!
Yay! I showed up just to say goodbye.
showed up at the best part of the stream.
Why did you pick this week to start at a normal time? I thought I was going to miss so much less of the stream that I ended up missing.
I told you I would tell everyone at the end of the stream whether or not next week's was going to be starting late, but to expect it anyway. But
Is he
Yeah.
full of shit
And
at
I
him?
did.
Or
yeah.
what?
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, point being, I'll see you all next time. Because remember, there is always more.